Hey everybody, welcome to today's presentation for caregiver training and education. This topic is on resilience and mindfulness. My name is Amy Blackburn. I'm the program manager in the Family Caregiver Support Program at St. Barnabas Senior Services. And I would also like to introduce our team. Olga, Valerie, and Michelle are 3 case managers. And if you have any questions, you can always contact your assigned case manager, or if you want like a copy of these slides, they can send this to you as well. So why is resilience and mindfulness important, especially right now during the pandemic? First, we're going to talk about mindfulness. So what is mindfulness? Mindfulness is an awareness of the inner experience and outer environment. And these definitions specifically about mindfulness were taken from a study called Psychological Mechanisms Driving Stress Resilience in Mindfulness. So pretty much everything you read on resilience, it's associated with mindfulness and the importance of mindfulness to be able to build your resilience. So this study is a randomized controlled trial, which means that it's the highest level of research method that you can have. It actually, when you do have outcomes from a this type of study, you actually show a cause and effect relationship. So what this study found with the people who participated in this research, they actually had the outcomes that were expected in this study. So mindfulness is the practice of being in the moment with the attitude of acceptance. The attitude of acceptance is a very important aspect of that mindfulness. You can train yourself to be more mindful in that way, to monitor your inner and outer environment, and also to accept what's happening inside of you and outside in your environment. And this helps you to develop coping skills. So what they mean by monitoring is being able to focus or return your attention when your mind wanders. So we all kind of have those squirrel moments. So being mindful of when that happens, and you practice that and you get better and better at it, it improves your overall mindfulness. The concept of acceptance is being open to what's happening and not reacting. So non-judgmental perceptions. That's the terminology that they use in this particular research study. Acceptance is non-judgmental perceptions of what's happening inside of you and what's happening in your outer environment. And these are things that are particularly important for family caregivers. And the purpose of meditation is to develop mindfulness and acceptance skills training. So that's part of what they did in this study. So the intervention that the people who participated in the study participated in consisted of 8 weeks of very specific meditation training. At the beginning of the 8 weeks, the participants assessed their rate of stress and their non-judgmental perceptions 5 times daily for 3 days straight, so that they could get a baseline of where they were starting at. And they participated in weekly group classes for 2 hours. It was once a week for the 8 weeks. And then for 6 days a week, they would practice for 45 minutes on their own. And then at the 6th week, there was a 1-day, 7-hour retreat focusing on the skills that they learned and how they're using those skills, these mindfulness skills they learned through meditation training in their daily life. And then at the end of this intervention for the study, they did the same thing with assessing their stress levels and their non-judgmental perceptions 5 times daily for 3 days. So this is what they found as far as the outcomes in this study. What do these training skills do? These training skills they learned on meditation and mindfulness. It helps us to notice our own thoughts, feelings, and sensations without trying to suppress, avoid, or reject them, which is a natural tendency for all of us, to try to suppress or avoid or reject particularly negative or unpleasant feelings or things happening in our environment. It supports and creates an attitude of acceptance, so this type of training. And it provides us the ability to not attempt to control what's uncontrollable because we are judging our response to the situation. We try to control those things, but we don't necessarily need to. So that's what these people learned in this intervention. So it makes people become less reactive and more purposeful and more adaptive in situations they experience. So this could be something that's very important for family caregivers and what they're experiencing, particularly people, if they're caring for people with dementia, where that is a huge, uncontrollable situation. It's probably the most pertinent in these types of situations. So breaking it down, what is the purpose of mindfulness? So that you have an accepting attitude toward the present moment, and you stay in the present moment with that accepting attitude, so that it helps you have a positive outlook, reduce judgment about your experiences and your feelings, reduce stress, reduce depression, reduce anxiety, and all of these things in turn help to build resilience. So next we're going to talk about resilience. So this particular study, the next few slides, is based on a study that was done called Resilience in Caregivers, and it was a systematic review. So a systematic review is also an excellent research method in looking at the outcomes over time. So in a systematic review, they've looked at all of the research studies that have been done on caregivers and resilience, for example, for the last 10 years or so. I don't remember the specifics on this particular systematic review. I think it might have been the last 10 years. So how they defined resilience in looking at all of these studies, it's the ability to overcome adversity, recover, and become stronger despite difficult circumstances or being exposed to threats. And threats can be interpreted in different ways by different people. Resilience is a protective factor that's developed over time. So it takes time to build resilience. And resilience is a positive tool for behavior change if you want to make some good changes in your life, some healthy changes. And some of the other protective factors and characteristics that people, particularly caregivers, have that promote resilience are their temperament. So if they have kind of a calm temperament, intelligence, cognitive abilities. So if they don't have any additional things like dementia or mild cognitive impairment, things like that. The ability to plan, and they live in an environment where they're comfortable and they're happy and they feel safe. Also, the quality of their childhood relationships, as well as the family support they're receiving as an adult, can help to promote resilience for family caregivers. And then their own self-reflection their own ability to control situations, their own confidence and determination will also help to promote resilience. So resilience and family caregivers specifically, when family caregivers have resilient coping skills, they're able to solve problems easier, they're able to adapt, they have emotion-focused coping strategies. So if they're experiencing a lot of stress and caregiver burden, they're able to focus specifically on emotions like depression and anxiety and help to reduce those things that they're feeling from those. And resilient family caregivers also seek out support. So any of our caregivers who participate in this program, they have some level of resilience already, which is good. It's a good sign that they are seeking out that support. And they have a certain level of self-control. That might be, you know, mainly emotional things and how they respond to, say, the person that they're caring for, particularly if somebody has Alzheimer's or dementia. So each one of these things influences the confidence that a caregiver has, and then therefore the quality of care that they're going to provide their loved one. Resilience in family caregivers continued. So the risks related to the demands of caregiving are emotional and physical. So caregivers typically have increased stress, impaired physical abilities. A lot of times those emotional demands will be so heavy that they end up turning into physical impairments, things like high blood pressure, arthritis, back pain, stuff like that. Resilient family caregivers have a tendency to want to increase their personal strength when they do see that they start to have these physical impairments. They want to enhance their spirituality so that they have a different type of, say, emotional foundation to be able to have the patience to take care of their loved one. And then family caregivers also will encourage emotional communication within their family system, because that's something that's very important for them to be able to build and develop and maintain that resilience. So each one of these things, and even though there's risks associated with the demands of caregiving, that actually helps to build that resilience, because if they didn't feel that, then they wouldn't have feel the need to kind of enhance and improve these other things in their lives. So what they found in these research studies in the systematic review is that resilience kind of acts as a mediator between coping and adaptation. And they, in these different studies, they evaluated resilience by framing specific emotional and cognitive terms. So they measured these things in these people who participated in these studies. They measured depression, anxiety, burden, hopelessness. They measured the caregiver's quality of life, their perceived competence as a caregiver, their self-efficacy and their self-esteem. They measured their post-traumatic growth and any suicidal ideation, and then their positive cognition. So things like searching for information, getting educated, being proactive in those things, and then reinterpretations of things happening, particularly with their loved one, like if they have dementia. So all of the different studies, like one study may have measured depression and anxiety. Another study might have measured quality of life. So all of the different studies measured all of these different things. Okay, just pausing a second here for a discussion break. If anybody has any questions or comments while they're fresh, you can ask now if you'd like. Just remember this is being recorded so that you don't mind if it is being recorded and you speak up. But if not, we'll go ahead and move on. And we're going to look at the outcomes of these studies. So the results of this systematic review. Family caregivers with a resilient coping style significantly decreased emotional distress related to a loved one's illness. Because if they have a resilient coping style, maybe they read about the illness that they have, maybe realizing the symptoms of whatever illness they're dealing with their loved one, maybe realizing that those symptoms kind of change their loved one's personality. It helps them to, you know, be a little more patient and not as stressed in the situation. Family caregivers significantly reduced common negative changes that occur in each dimension of wellness. So all of the dimensions of wellness could include physical, emotional, social, spiritual, could even include vocational, environmental. So significantly reduce common negative changes that could occur in each dimension of wellness. That's huge. Family caregivers significantly reduce the emotional and physical burden and demands involved in caregiving. So this, I mean, this is really, really important. Resilience is something that is very important for family caregivers to develop. So what is a resilient coping style? A resilient coping style is a caregiver, or really anybody, who develops skills to control the interpretation of events. So if a caregiver is taking care of somebody with dementia, or even somebody who has decreased mobility, where they've lost a lot of their independence, maybe somebody who's not able to drive anymore, that happens a lot. And that person that they're caring for just is angry and expresses that anger toward the caregiver. The skill to control the interpretation of their loved one and how they're acting out on the caregiver is the ability to know that, you know, it's not that person that they're angry at. It's, you know, it's the situation that they're having to deal with where they've lost their independence. If they do have dementia, they're confused, and they probably know that they're not thinking straight and they're not remembering things. So it's very frustrating. So a caregiver who's able to control their own interpretation of those things with their loved one, they have that resilient coping style. They're able to control memories of traumatic situations. So something that could be pretty traumatic for a family caregiver is, and I've heard this a lot from caregivers, is that it's hard to see their loved one become so dependent when maybe that person was a very independent person in their life, had a great business, you know, was the one that was in charge, was the one that cooked everything and cleaned, and seeing them in this new state where they're completely dependent and relying on others for those daily activities, it can be very, very traumatic for everybody involved in the family. A resilient coping style allows caregivers to regulate their emotions related to that trauma. So if they are feeling stress or depression or anxiety, they're better able to regulate emotions that might come along with those things. They're able to integrate the memory and the emotion of things that have happened positively. They're able to control and manage physical symptoms. They're able to have a positive meaning and understanding on the impact of whatever trauma they might have experienced. And then they have increased self-esteem and self-efficacy. Self-efficacy is the confidence in being able to fulfill a task. So what does resilience do for you? It reduces anxiety, depression, and the perception of pain. This is what they found in their outcomes from the systematic review of all of these studies that have been done with family caregivers and resilience. It reduces emotional distress by enhancing adaptation. It increases interpersonal relationships and the perception of social support. Now, the perception is something that's really important that people don't often think about. That maybe some of the family caregivers who participate in this program don't participate in all of the things directly, but the fact that everybody has an assigned case manager, they have the options of going to support groups and participating in these educational events. Just that perception of support is beneficial also. Resilience allows people to reevaluate things with active problem solving, so that cognitive reevaluation. It helps caregivers to recognize the positive aspects of being a caregiver. It helps with perceived confidence, personal growth, optimism, and also allows caregivers to accept situations and for them to kind of develop planning strategies within their caregiver situation or in their life. So let's look at something specific, that social support that I just mentioned. Something that we sometimes talk to our family caregivers about is their own social support network. And this is a tool that we can use. We can help you develop this map, write everything out, or we can send you this guide and you can do it on your own. But this is a specific task that you can look at your caregiver ecosystem, basically. So this relates to the adaptation and meaning-centered strategies as a caregiver. So looking at something like this and drawing out your care map, you're able to enhance your personal relations and family social supports by seeing who your supports are. And this can be found at Atlas of Caregiving. It's called a care map. So it's a diagram of your relationships, your connections, and your interactions in your life. And it allows you to be able to plan for potential problems, manage the people involved, and identify the missing people or services. And it also allows for better communication so that you can see everything that's in place. So I'm just going to quickly go over the process for designing a map like this. So you write your name, who lives with you, and then you also include your pets or your animals, and then you write who cares for or supports you. So these could be people who directly care for you, including emotional support, people on, like if you have a Facebook group, or those who help in ways that allow you time for your caregiving responsibilities. So just, you would write in here, list everybody who cares for or supports you. And then we get down to A on the left here, who do you care for? If this person does not live with you, who else is in their household? And then who else cares for this person that you care for, if anybody? So you can list 1 or 2 people if you care for somebody else. And then the next page is just basically listing more people. So then this is just a quick explanation on how to draw it. So you basically draw yourself and each person you live with, including any pets, and then you draw a little house around that group. So everybody who lives together. And then you label each person and the location where you live, like the city. And then on number 2, you draw arrows indicating how often that care happens and in what direction. So in this house, Laura and Tim care for each other, but Laura is probably the caregiver, so the arrow going to Tim is a little bit thicker, so that means she's caring for him more frequently. And then Tim's caring for her daily. It might be more in the emotional aspect. And then Laura also takes care of the puppy. And then we have Nicole also pointing to the puppy, which is daily. So maybe this is the dog walker or something. So then we come down here to extended networks. Using the same process, fill in the rest of the drawing with additional individuals outside of your immediate household, and then draw them close to you if they live nearby, or far away if they do not. And then group individuals together if they all live together, or if it's like if you were to draw the St. Barnabas Family Caregiver Support Program, you could draw a little box like with 4 of us in it, so we could be like an extended network. And then you draw arrows amongst them to represent how that care or support happens. They have a symbol here where the triangle represents professionals. The group here, that actually, it says Facebook group, so that's their Facebook group, and it has a dashed line because they might meet weekly. And then the doctor has a dotted line, so that is a meeting occasionally. And then Susan is another person that helps take care of Tim. Maybe Susan is Tim's sister or something. So then once you do that, you draw circles around those people. So like the doctor and Nicole, the dog walker, are within that circle around the house because they live nearby. And then like the Facebook group, that's another circle. So all those people live far away. And then Susan might only visit once a week because she lives a lot farther away. So far, for their definition, is more than 2 hours away. So this is kind of what you end up with once you draw everything out. When you look at the whole thing like this, it's kind of confusing, but when you go through the steps and draw it out, it's a little easier to comprehend and understand. So back to the slide right before this, what does resilience do for you? It increases interpersonal relationships, is what that care map just showed, and the perception of social support. So if you as the caregiver maybe think you're not getting any help, maybe if you drew this map out, you would see in reality how much support you're getting, or you might also see how much support you're not getting and where you need to kind of fill in the holes and where you do need more help. Either way, doing an activity like this can be something that can build and develop your resilience, because it'll be something specific that will help you as far as your social support perception and reality. So what this does, again, drawing something like the care map, it provides you a way to cognitively reevaluate your situation, and it is active problem solving. It helps you to recognize the positive aspects of being a caregiver. And doing something like drawing out the care map can increase your perceived confidence, your own personal growth, and the optimism within your caregiver situation. So even if you draw out your care map and you don't see a lot of people in your support network, but you are able to kind of from that be able to determine who you need in your support network. Either one of those things will increase your optimism and your confidence as a caregiver. And it allows you to plan and accept your current situation. And if you need to change it, have the ability to change it. So that's adaptation. And then overall, these things in a specific activity like this will decrease your caregiver burden. And this is our goal. This is, well, this is not the goal, but this is typically what happens where the caregiver puts all of their time and energy into the person they're caring for. So there's this imbalance, and this is the goal. You want kind of a balance in between caring for your loved one and caring for yourself, because when you do have that, you are able to provide better care for your loved one. So in summary, resilience, it's the ability to recover from the ups and downs in life and have renewed hope and be more positive amidst difficulties. Mindfulness, it's the ability to pay attention to feelings and experiences in that present moment with acceptance and without judgment. And also the ability to notice when you do get distracted and gaining the skill to come back to the present moment. And when you are mindful and present over time, you actually build resilience, which prevents caregiver burnout or stress or anxiety or depression, any of those other things that can be associated with the burnout. And then summary continued, meditation practice helps with mindfulness. There's one, there's another presentation that I found online that talks about the same thing, resilience and mindfulness. It's on the Family Caregiver Alliance website, and the name of the presentation is Genuine Resilience is Closer Than You Think. And the presenter is Roy Reamer, the executive director of the Zen Caregiving Project. So the Zen Caregiving Project, they actually focus on caregivers being able to improve their meditation practice. So these are the links to the presentation and also the link to the website. I'm not sure if there's a cost or not, but if there is, we also have resources that we've found that are free apps that you can put on your phone or things that you can go to online where you can start to practice meditation and enhancing that mindfulness. Even if you did it for 5, 10 minutes, 15 minutes a day, I've actually found during the pandemic, I've never done meditation in my life, but I started doing it a little bit, like 5, 10 minutes a day, and then realized how much I needed it. I didn't even realize how much, because being isolated at home, you really get inside of yourself and you start to feel things that you didn't experience before. So that meditation and mindfulness practice and training, you're able to see where you're at, your inner experiences and feelings without judgment. So you gain that awareness, and then by gaining that awareness, you're able to have more of an accepting attitude on your situation. So you kind of gain a more accepting attitude, like, okay, this is the situation, we all have to stay home, we're isolated right now, our situation has completely changed. So it actually is very helpful. So now I've found things that are free online. On YouTube, there's a lot of free meditations where sometimes I'm doing it for an hour now. Like I'll do it like right before bed or first thing when I wake up in the morning, but it is very helpful, especially right now. All right. So that's the end. Does anybody have any questions or comments or even your own experiences with meditation or mindfulness training, or your own idea of what resilience is and how it's helped you in your caregiver situation?
I just started, like you, doing some meditation. I actually had done it once, like years ago, and I had a bad experience with it. So I was just like, no, like just, for meditation. I was like, oh, no. Like I can't.
Yeah.
But I found an app, and it's, I do it before bed, 10, 15 minutes, sometimes throughout the day.
Mm-hmm.
Like really stressed, I just take like 5 minutes, because sometimes it just, that's all it takes, like 5 minutes.
Yep.
Found it's really helped. It's even helping me like sleep better at night, and just kind of controlling, like you said, like you mentioned, like your emotions and your environment,
Mm-hmm.
can't control, but then there's other things that you can. So I
Right.
found.
Good. Yeah, I mean, I was the same way about meditation. Like, I always thought it was kind of weird, and people would say, "Oh, do you meditate? You should meditate." And I mean, you only do it if you need it, So before, when I would try to meditate, I'd be sitting there and I'd fall asleep. And they do say that if things like that happen, then you need to sleep. So your body is basically, when you do things like meditation and trying to practice it, your body will tell you what you need. So even if, say, a lot of family caregivers are deprived in sleep, so maybe if they did try the meditation, they start getting tired and decide they need to take a nap. And if that's what comes up in this process for meditation, then that's what they need. So it is interesting how trying to improve that mindfulness aspect, it's very helpful with the overall health.
I've been meditating for probably 30 years, no, 20 years, as part of a yoga practice. I learned it as part of a yoga practice. So, and there's the focused meditating where we sit down and do our meditation, and then I'm finding maybe in the past few years, 3 or 4 years, what's really becoming very valuable is being able to be mindful throughout the day, being able to just kind of gently monitor my mindfulness. Am I focusing in the moment? Am I off over here? Am I off over here? Just gently kind of checking in with myself consistently through the day, and that's very helpful too.
Yeah, good point.
I found some meditations on like YouTube, like maybe you can do them like before you go to sleep, like 30 minutes, or in the morning, whatever time you want. They have some pretty good ones that you can listen to, and just try to relax and.
Yeah, it actually, I was surprised how much it helped before going to sleep, especially like if a lot has been going on during the day. That's the other thing family caregivers sometimes have a problem with, is just finally being able to relax at the end of the day. So that's another thing that can help. And then doing it first thing in the morning can help kind of with your mindset just for the remainder of the day. So the other thing too, like meditation practice, things like if people are religious, like prayer can be considered meditation. And I've found that family caregivers, a lot of them do pray, and they say that that's what helps them. That is a form of meditation, but at the same time, you're also building that and enhancing that spiritual aspect of your wellness. So that also can help with people's caregiver situation quite a bit.
Hi. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes. That's true with regards to spiritual activities. It helped me a lot and regain my strength spiritually and emotionally. And well, this is not my first time to take care of a loved one. And I saw myself on the first experience I had from the things that you discussed today, and you know, feeling like you are trapped into the situation, and you feel like you're not thinking of what you need anymore. You think of what you can do for your loved one with regards to meeting their needs and stuff like that. So, with that experience from my late husband, so I'm kind of like not thinking too much of the situation, but and not being judgmental anymore, you know. So I was able to, that helps me a lot by not putting it into my emotion anymore. Just see as what it is as for today, and you know, and then another day for tomorrow, you know. But I never. So as what you said a while ago, you said that spiritual prayer and listening for preaching and stuff like that. That kind of meditation already tried, and it helped me a lot. And the meditation that um, I think it was Michelle who mentioned with regards to yoga, I never tried that stuff. You know, so I just want to share that.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. That's great. Um, yeah, and it sounds like, you know, just what they say about resilience is it's a process, and it's something that kind of builds up day by day. And it sounds like that's what you kind of did, was just take it day by day. I mean, that's all you can do, and then kind of recognize where you're at day by day and week by week and month by month, and just kind of reevaluate um, how you've kind of grown to that spot and either improved or um, are struggling. So it's always good to reevaluate and what is meant by meditation practice. And this can be done in actual meditation sessions. It can be done in yoga. It can be done when you pray. That's basically what you're doing. You're kind of going through the current situation you're in and becoming highly aware of what's happening in your life and how you're feeling. And you do kind of reassess and reevaluate every time you do that. So there is kind of an acceptance that happens with your situation and your feelings as that happens daily. Any other questions or comments? Olga, you had something you wanted to email out to everybody, right? Was it like a meditation app or something?
Yes,
Okay.
it's an app. It does have some free sessions that you can access.
Okay.
If you do want to purchase it, I know if you have Kaiser pays for it.
Oh, okay. That's good to know.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's another one that I found, another app that has some exercise activities as well, and that one's free. That one's, you can access the whole program free.
Okay.
Yoga, stretches, and just little things like that.
Good. Yeah, plus the city of LA has those classes online. Did any of you watch those videos on YouTube on their channel? The City of LA Recreation Department?
I took down the link so I could go down, so I can go in it and take a look at it.
Yeah, I thought of a lot of our caregiver clients, and I watched the whole videos myself because I have had experience teaching exercise. And I wanted to watch the videos just to kind of assess if it would be appropriate for our clients. And I think the like the chair exercise video isn't just chair exercise. Like this woman, the instructor, she's moving. So you would get a pretty good workout. So that might be something too that we can refer out and send to some of our caregiver clients.
Yeah.
And there's also a yoga and meditation video too. I didn't get a chance to look at that, but I mean, it's a good resource. There's a lot of videos on there that they're recorded.
Yeah, there's another good one if you Google Chloe Tings. She does different workout routines, and she makes like a list of like different workouts for each day, and she goes by the entire month. So if you want to work out at home without any weights or equipment, you can follow her program, and it's free. So yeah, so if you want to Google that one, Chloe Tings, you can get some free workouts in.
Yeah, can you email that, Valerie? So
I can
we
look
have the
for
link.
it. It's a website, and it goes by the entire month, and they have like different things that they focus on. Like one month they may focus on abs, the other month they may focus on legs. It just depends.
Okay, good. Yeah, for me personally, I mean, I've exercised and worked out my entire life. For me, that's meditative. People who love the outdoors and they go on hikes or they go on walks outdoors or they just go out to the mountains or the wilderness, people consider that meditative too. It's meditative when it allows your mind to kind of release the things you've been experiencing today. Like for me, during my workouts, I think about things like emotions and experiences and things, and so yeah, it can be kind of a broad definition on what is meditation to people. The things that I reviewed in this presentation were strictly based on these studies that they did, the random controlled trial and the systematic review and what they did for their interventions. But yeah, there are definitely different aspects of meditation. The important thing, and part of that mindfulness, is being aware of and knowing what would be beneficial for you and being able to improve on your mindfulness. So.
Yeah, I've noticed even some clients like taking up a hobby, like that's something that helps kind of not think about their caregiving stress and help them release some of that.
Yep, for sure. Puzzles, some people like puzzles. Sometimes it's games for people, like those cognitive games.
Crocheting, sewing.
Crochet, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, even cooking, some caregivers do like to cook and prepare nutritious meals, and so. All right. Well, if there's no other questions or comments, I'll go ahead and stop the recording. Thank you, everybody, for joining today, or if you watch the recording, thank you for watching. This is going to be also posted up on our website, and we're going to, once everything's posted on our YouTube channel, we're actually putting together a YouTube channel for all these recordings. You will have access to them later on, and we're going to be like sending out the links to them just to show everybody what we've talked about in the past. So thank you. I'm going to go ahead and stop it.